Hello, everyone, and welcome to the PhRMA Foundation's next webinar, Exploring Career Paths, Eli Lilly and Company's Postdoctoral Fellowship Program. It's a pleasure to have you all today. This webinar series is designed to show our audiences different career paths and also assist in writing grants and doing other sorts of things important to your career. For those of you who don't know the PhRMA Foundation, we foster biomedical innovation and value-driven healthcare by investing in the frontiers of research. We catalyze the career of promising researchers through competitive, peer-reviewed grants and fellowships. We fund research in the following areas: drug discovery, delivery, translational medicine, and value assessment health outcomes research. We fund these in three major categories: pre-doctoral students, postdoctoral students, and early career faculty. We have many free resources on our website. How to Write a Letter of Intent is our most popular video to date, but hopefully Lily will blow it out of the water. We also have another one on how to write clear and compelling research aims, and we take our webinars and then put them into other forms. For example, this checklist on writing a winning grant application. Without the support of these companies, we couldn't do this work. Every cent we raise from these companies go right back to researchers annually. So I want to thank all of them, especially Eli Lilly and Company. So it's my pleasure to introduce Mike and Ron, and they will introduce the rest of the panelists today. Michael DeFilippis is Senior Vice President, Research, Bioproduct Research and Development, and he's joined by Ronald DeMatos, Senior Vice President, Research and Chief Scientific Officer, Neurobiologics. Take it away.
Thank you very much, and thanks everyone for joining. Mike DeFilippis. I'm going to provide a very brief corporate overview of Lilly. If I can have the next slide, please. Starting with our purpose, I just want to summarize this point here to say that we care very deeply about solving some of the most complex health problems. And we do this by combining this passion with our science to create medicines that make life better. And then underpinning this purpose is our core values of integrity, excellence, and respect for people. If I can have the next slide, please. So we were founded by Colonel Eli Lilly, who's actually a Civil War veteran. And when he was in his military service, he was very dissatisfied with the quality of medicines at the time. And he set out to found a company that was a grounding principle of providing the highest quality medicines possible. And throughout the years, and you can see that we're approaching our 150th anniversary, we've had some significant breakthroughs in medicine, starting with insulin in the 1920s, where we actually were the first company to industrialize insulin from animal sources. But then in the 80s, actually the first company to market a recombinant DNA protein, human insulin. And we've had many more examples in vaccines, in neurodegeneration, obesity, cancer, many innovations coming from the company. And our priorities have never really changed. We still, based on what the Colonel defined as manufacturing high quality products, recruiting the best employees, satisfy the customer, and develop new products. And where we are today is the most valued pharmaceutical company based on market capitalization. So how did we get there? And that's illustrated on the next slide. And that's really our strategy, which is predicated on discovering new medicines. And what I'm showing there is a snapshot in time of the number of assets in various stages of the clinical development continuum. And I can assure you that this changes on a daily basis and often will increase those numbers substantially as we have a very robust pipeline. In fact, it's the envy of the industry currently. Go ahead, the next slide, please. So how do we enable this strategy? And that's with investments. And the company has a longstanding history of investing a significant amount of its revenue from sales into R&D. And you can see there on the left-hand side of this slide, about 30% of our total sales go back reinvested into R&D. But it's not only that investment, it's the investment in people. And you can see about a quarter of the company here, the total resources of the company are focused in R&D efforts. And if I can have the next slide, please. So here I'm showing all of the various business areas and technical capabilities that we have across Lilly. And you can see there's discovery based, there's the support functions in the company that support our R&D efforts, as well as development, but also the clinical components. And what I want to emphasize on this slide is that research proposals for postdocs can come from any one of these organizations. And this provides some really valuable learning opportunities for postdocs to get training in various disciplines as illustrated here. And with this brief overview, and I'll turn it over to Ron D'Amatos to give you more specifics about the postdoc program.
Thank you, Mike. And hi, I'm Ron D'Amatos. It's a pleasure to chat very briefly with you and give you an overview of our postdoc program. And so as we bring up the slides, I think the first thing to really highlight is, Mike mentioned innovation, and Lilly is an innovation company. And I think that's important when we talk about the postdoc program, because that's exactly what postdocs are brought in to do, which is to work on highly innovative projects that are really going to further our drug development platforms, be it actual candidates or even some of the various technologies. So the end goal that we have in mind for many of our postdocs is to basically publish in really the highest tier journals. And again, publishing is a postdoc's currency for their next stages of career. And our focus is to enable them to achieve those goals. Now, another important attribute of our program is that we match the postdocs with highly engaged scientists within our various core areas that Mike alluded, that are really interested in mentoring and developing young talent and really fostering this innovation culture. So in the next slide, we'll go through a couple of the specifics of the program. And I think it's important to start with, when we were designing this program, you as the postdoc, you're our critical success. You are our mission, such that you end up having a successful postdoc, such that it sets you up for a very successful career in industry or other areas. So a little bit about how we run this program. So Mike and myself actually participate on a postdoc council that every year we solicit across all those different areas that Mike had shared for proposals from interested scientists. What's important about this is the scientists respond back with a pretty thorough proposal that really mirrors the NIH. And what we do as a council, and the council is actually populated with the top 30 technical scientists in the company, mainly senior vice presidents and vice presidents. We go ahead as a core group. We review each of those proposals focused on items like the actual level of innovation, the questions being asked, the resources. Are the resources appropriate? Can the postdoc, when they come in, start working right away? Are they setting them up to have a really strong opportunity to be highly productive? Probably one of the most important things that we do is we scrutinize each proposal to ensure that the science that's being suggested is in that what's known as the pre-competitive space. And the reason that's important to you is that's the type of science that you're allowed to go externally, share at international meetings, local meetings, and most importantly, feel free to publish. As I said before, that's your currency. And so that's our overarching goal, is to give you all the tools to be able to obtain that and be a highly productive scientist. Now, in addition to sharing your work externally, there are a number of venues internally where you get to share both locally, but across a very large peer set, indeed enhancing your network. And again, what does Lilly get out of this? Well, quite frankly, we get your excitement, we get your innovation, and we're able to leverage that for our overarching goal, which is to provide medicines that matter. So in the next slide, I'll go through a little bit of the additional learning opportunities. And again, this is just a quick overview. We have multiple forums on multiple levels that you'll be immersed in a learning culture. The first one that we list here is our Breakthrough Medicines Forum. And this is just a fantastic forum where we meet weekly. And at this forum, among the top scientists of the entire company, we review really the hot, late-breaking science. This could be science that's coming from international meetings, local meetings, or even hot data that's being generated internal. We discuss it, we understand the strategy, and again, it's a great way for individuals such as yourselves to be part of the conversation, but also increase your net breadth. We have other attributes like grand rounds, which is your more prototypical seminar series where you get more detailed grand stories. Again, increasing your understanding of what is the enterprise of drug discovery. So in the next slide, we'll go through a little bit of the further mentoring opportunities and development opportunities. And the first one at a high level is we do provide a number of tools such that you can continue learning on a number of fronts. And this is through our Lilly University. A lot of this can be career oriented. The one in the middle is the one that I really enjoy because this is one that our postdoc council actually directs. Every time we approve, and we scrutinize those proposals and only approve those that meet a high standard, we go ahead and assign a postdoc council mentor. So this is a very senior scientist that's assigned to a postdoc that comes in to work on any given proposal. That individual meets with the postdoc quarterly at a minimum to go ahead and give career advice, give them advice as far as even scientific progression and to further their networking. And again, you get networking and career advice from your direct supervisor as well, but this is yet another way to get that really high level from a highly experienced scientist. Now, in addition to this, you're also immersed in your local department that has departmental meetings, group meetings, seminars. And so the learning is just continuous throughout the franchise. In the last slide, I just want to end by noting that when you join Lilly as a postdoc, you join as part of a community. The postdocs, they meet monthly. And during these 1-hour meetings, it covers all sorts of topics like, various presentation skills, career advice, sometimes just giving an opportunity for individuals to share their story and get further learning and possibly do problem solving. The one on the left, I'm really excited about. This is our yearly postdoc retreat. And this is something that we've had going on for a number of years. And it's just been building year over year, getting larger and actually more impactful. This is a 2-day meeting where the postdocs across all of Lilly, all the different sites, come to one meeting. They join together and they have a huge postdoc poster session. They have oral talks that mirror the grand rounds presentation style. They also have a number of other roundtables with senior leaders, development opportunities, career talks that really help set the stage so that you have a grander networking, but also you're getting to understand your peers that may be in different sites that you're interacting with during your monthly meetings. So it's a fantastic atmosphere. And again, the key is your success. So with that, I'll pass it back to Dana.
Thank you, Ron. I really appreciate that. Hi, everyone. I'm Dana Laird. I'm actually with our talent acquisition team. Thanks, Mike and Ron, for your participation today. It is my pleasure to introduce to you 4 of our postdoc and scientists who've been with the company for a little bit. So I have Jonathan, Xavier, Jenny, and Carla here with me today. And they are happy to take questions that you are able to put in the chat and answer based on their experiences. But I'm also going to give each of them just a couple of minutes of time to introduce themselves. So let's start. Xavier, you're first on my screen. So I'm going to have you pop off mute and tell everybody who you are.
Sure thing. Thank you for the introduction and the ability to tell you guys a little bit about my story today. So I'm originally from Indiana. I went to school, undergrad, IU Bloomington. So the Hoosiers are doing really good this year. So happy to see that. Grad school was IU School of Medicine, so right up the street. And while in grad school, I studied a lot of neuroinflammatory related projects, specifically in the brain and around blood vessels in the brain. So that transitioned nicely to the postdoctoral role that I came into at Lilly. Very similar, studying vascular inflammation, but in the context of immunotherapy. So when we inject some of our drugs. We have inflammatory responses. And my project was really focused around understanding the immune responses and cell types that coincide with that. So my postdoc was 2 years, and then I recently transitioned at the start of this year into an advisor level role. And in this new level role, I lead a team of associates, and we go after different targets, immunotherapy approaches, and an attempt to better understand the brain and, again, develop some of these really important medicines.
Perfect. Thank you, Xavier. Jonathan, you're next on my screen, so if you could go.
So my name's Jonathan Specker. Kind of similar to Xavier, I have a similar story. I'm originally from Indiana as well, and then went to Indiana University Bloomington for undergrad. So I got my bachelor's in chemistry there. And then shortly after, I transitioned to Florida and went to the University of Florida for grad school and got my PhD in analytical chemistry. So I'm more on the technical side. I specialized in mass spectrometry research and tissue imaging. So a lot of, clinical adjacent technologies that are great for visualizing a lot of molecules affected by molecular health and disease. So you can see that is very translatable to what we work with here at Lilly. So it was about, so I finished my PhD in August of 2023. So it wasn't too long after that I got hired as a postdoc in late 2023. So in about November. And then I had about 8 months until I transitioned into a full-time role. So, that timeline can be, is very dependent on a lot of factors, but 2 years is generally the 2-year contract timeline there. But fortunately, I was able to convert to full-time at the beginning of this summer. And similarly, I have taken on an advisor role for protein characterization. So I work more on the formulation and development side, where I'm building and developing mass spectrometry analysis workflows for our large molecules. So all of our antibodies, our protein fusions, and various RNA complexes. So it's nice to be more on the technical side there. And then as well, a lot of my PhD research was focused on using a new application of mass spectrometry imaging. So that's something I've been able to bring here to Lilly and start to build that technology from the ground up. So as of now, I'm one of the few people here in the company kind of working on that technology and kind of, building the structure from the ground up in building new collaborations with people across the organization. So that's been great to kind of start from the postdoc perspective and then kind of translate now into my full-time role.
Perfect. Thank you, Jonathan. Jenny, do you want to go next?
Yeah. Yeah, so I got my PhD from University of Kansas, where I studied the enzyme that are involved in the biosynthesis of iron chelator in a Pseudomonas aeruginosa using X-ray crystallography and other biophysical techniques. After that, I joined Northwestern as a postdoc in academia, and then where I'm studying the protein-protein interactions and protein-DNA interactions, try to understand the transcription regulations for the several the genes such as the CREB and then CRTC2. And then I worked shortly in a CRO company for bioanalysis before I joined Lilly as a postdoc scientist. I joined the bioproduct research and development, analytical development, and then in a biophysical characterization group, where I focus on the method development to working for the AAV characterization using the analytical ultracentrifugations. So I joined Lilly 7 months ago. Yeah, I'm happy to work in Lilly as a postdoc scientist, and I get exposed to many different collaborations and enjoy the learning period. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Jenny. And Carla, you're my last one. Can you tell us who you are?
Hello, everyone. I'm Carla Lima. I'm currently a postdoc at Eli Lilly with the Pain and Neuronal Health Group. I've been here for a year and a half. I'm originally from Brazil, and my education is a little bit different. So I started as a physical therapist in Brazil, and then I came to Indiana to do my master's in exercise science. And then for my PhD, I went to Alabama, and it was in rehabilitation science, but all of the work was preclinical. So I was working with small animal and large animal models of chronic pain. And that's the skills that I developed during my PhD was what got me the chance to come as a postdoc here at Lilly. So I get a lot of questions on, oh, you have a clinical background, but you're doing preclinical work in the pharmaceutical industry. And that's how it happened. I just learned the skills, and I got the opportunity to go to a preclinical lab before I got here. As a postdoc here, a year and a half, it's been a wonderful experience. There's a lot of networking opportunities. It is a fast-paced environment, and I think I've been learning a lot in just this 1 year and a half. And I'm happy to answer any questions.
Perfect. Thank you, Carla. Okay, so the first question that I'm going to throw out to our panelists is from someone in the audience asking, as a third-year pharmacological sciences PhD student, what should I do to help make myself more competitive for a postdoctoral position? Who wants to answer?
Sure, I'd be happy to speak on that. So, yeah, so for kind of making yourself more competitive, just, coming from a general scientific background, a lot of it is networking. So being able to, speak confidently about, your personal experience, and if any research is entailed into that. I know not all roles include, research outside of that, but yeah, being able to, express confidently and being very articulate and show that you can dive into technical detail about many projects you've considered and or worked on personally, and being able to translate that and showing being very agile at learning and picking up different concepts. So being able to express that in the interview process, and then as well as a lot of these opportunities. And I'm from Indiana, left Indiana, came back to Indiana. So fortunately, I had a lot of contacts here at Lilly that I could reach out to personally and kind of get, a little information about the process and kind of, put my name out there a little bit. So that helped, as well, kind of lowering that barrier for, rather than meeting someone completely, random, it's, puts a name to the face and, lowers that barrier of interaction. So a lot of that helps, but yeah, as well as, be passionate in your story and, embrace, your own personal path that you've taken through academia, and as well as any, industry or other career experience and soft skills that kind of come along with that, being able to talk comfortably about yourself and, really show enthusiasm is really important along that process.
Thanks, Jonathan. Would any of the rest of you like to add?
Yeah, I can add to that. I think that one thing that you should be doing to really separate yourself is making sure that you have papers that are high quality research and that are especially relevant. And when I say that, it's because sometimes when we get to these interview processes, and I've interviewed some candidates before, they'll have these really cool projects, these really cool techniques, really cool experiences, but they sometimes lack the ability to think about how that translates to the bigger picture, how that translates to the role or what work you'd be doing in industry. So I guess one piece of one recommendation that I would have is always keep that at the forefront of your mind. How does what you're doing translate to the bigger scope and the bigger picture, and how the skills you have, you can leverage those into that next role?
Excellent. Thank you so much. Okay, I'm going to move on to another question, and I'm actually going to ask Ron to answer this because I think Ron has a good story to tell. There is a question in the chat that said, is there upward mobility after your postdoc at Eli Lilly? Can you explain?
Yeah, no, great question. And so, yeah, there's tremendous opportunity for upward mobility. In fact, me and my peers, every once in a while, we sit there and line up the number of my peers at the senior vice president level that started off as Lilly postdocs. And there's a number of just technical experts and even management that started off as a Lilly postdoc. I think the unifying factor is that each of them, when they did their postdoc, they did a postdoc that really highlighted their skill sets. And I really like, a number of the prior answers from Jonathan and Xavier, which is they were able to show their ability to understand the larger scale of problems, more of the enterprise. And so absolutely, here's the thing. Once you get into industry, it's all about how well you perform and how well you grow. And I'll continue to come back to, this is why your postdoc's so critical. This is your chance to become fully trained and fully independent. And that's going to set you on the trajectory. And again, it takes lots of hard work, but yes, you have every opportunity to go ahead and progress, actually probably even a little bit of an enhancement over others.
Perfect, thank you. I'm gonna just address this to the panel, and while none of you are specifically in bioinformatics, I think that you can all sort of address how important this is at Lilly. So there's a question about, are opportunities for bioinformatics PhDs available, and what criteria would you use to assess those PhD students? Anyone want to take a stab?
So I can comment a little bit about that. So I work with a couple bioinformatics PhD level scientists. They're very important to the type of roles and projects that we do here. We do have some big data driven projects, but we also have some smaller scale ones as well. For me particularly, I had some spatial omics work in which a lot of these projects weren't able to be done without the help of bioinformatics. So I think that there's definitely a very important role that they play in a lot of the work that we do.
Thank you, Xavier. Carrie, I'm going to actually, Jenny, I'm going to address the next question to you. And there is a question that is specifically about, if I've already done a postdoc in an academic setting, what's it like to translate that work to an industry postdoc? And can you tell them specifically how you did that? So Jenny, can you answer that one for me?
Yeah. So, I mean, they're, to me, like they're pretty comparable. For sure, like in academic postdoc, you need publications. For Lilly postdoc, even though there's no requirement, but I think we gears toward the publications as well. I mean, it's nice to have publications. And in Lilly postdoc, what we have is we have unlimited many resources that you can like work on your projects, asking for collaborations. So I mean, it's pretty much you can if you have the really aligned background, I think it's really transferable from easily from the academia to the industry postdoc. And then we discussed that the most advantage for industrial postdoc, like in Lilly, that you get a lot of networking, and then you get to expose to all the different process, like you learn a lot for like drug development. So like for me, I came in from the biophysical and biochemistry background, but in the postdoc in Lilly, I get to learn, besides my project, I get to go into the different group meeting, different seminar, like grand rounds. I learn a lot for how I apply my technique into this drug development. As far as you have the technical skills, I think it should be like good for applying the industrial postdoc. Yeah.
Great, thank you so much. And then Carla, I'm going to ask you to answer this question. There's a question that says, do postdocs have access to Eli Lilly's infrastructure and resources for collaborations across different teams? Just wanting to understand how postdoc projects are prioritized, and if you feel that they're a direct contribution to Lilly's pipeline.
Yeah, I can try to answer that. The answer is yes. My project, for example, I collaborate cross-functionally with different departments here at Lilly. It goes back to the need of your project and the proposal, but there are opportunities to collaborate. I also collaborate with an academic investigator, and all of this, of course, is discussed with my supervisor, and the collaboration is initiated by him. But yeah, there's opportunities to collaborate both internally, cross-functionally, and externally, also with academic investigators. What else was the question? Did I answer everything?
How do you feel about the priority of postdoc work with respect to portfolio or just pipeline projects?
Yeah, so as Ron mentioned, like our priority here, our main goal is to publish, right? So I would say that in general, the postdoc work is in alignment with the portfolio work that the company does. But in general, postdocs do not work on project related to the company, if that makes sense. That varies by supervisor, but again, the main goal is publication. So we usually use commercially available tools and compounds to get our work completed. And the skills that you're developing during your postdoc, they are in alignment with, you know, the work that advisors like Xavier and Jonathan do in the lab as part of the company as well.
Great, thank you so much. And then Mike, I'm actually going to ask you to answer this because you mentioned this specifically when you were going over your slide presentation. Can you talk about some of the other areas of where postdocs might have opportunities? I know oncology was not listed on our slide, but can you address maybe oncology or early drug discovery, medchem, those types of areas where we might have opportunities?
Sure. Well, the reality is there's opportunities across the entire R&D and clinical research areas. We have our discovery group that has therapeutic areas focused on diabetes, obesity, cardiometabolic disorders. We have neurodegeneration. We have oncology as well. So we have postdoc proposals submitted by that group. We have genetic medicines as well. And then moving on to some of the what I would call the support R&D groups like ADME, toxicology, all those are possibilities. And then our development organizations focused on synthetic molecule development, biological development, delivery devices. All of these groups are possible sources of postdoc proposals. So it's virtually unlimited because we rely on all of these disciplines to drive our innovation agenda, ultimately leading to the molecules that we create.
Perfect, thank you. Oh my goodness, let me see. Is it important for applicants to have internship experience in biotech prior to applying? Who wants to take that?
I can share my. Oh, go ahead, Mike.
No,
go
ahead.
You're probably better than me.
No, you go first, please.
Oh, in my experience, I didn't have an internship experience. That's all I was gonna say. You probably have better comments, so go ahead.
No, I wouldn't say better, but I agree. I don't think it's essential. If you have that opportunity in your studies, by all means, take advantage of it. It will provide additional learning experiences for you, but not a requirement for the postdoc. What is a requirement is that you do some sound science in your graduate work. You come up with some good publications, maybe some presentations as well, and really demonstrate to us that you have mastered the scientific methodology in the work that you've pursued.
Perfect, thanks, Mike. Who wants to explain the difference between an advisor level and maybe the principal scientist level at Lilly?
So I can jump in. So every company, Lilly included, has different levels of technical progression for their scientists. And so advisor happens to be our current level, such that when you're completing a postdoc, That's your first entry, and that's what we used to refer to as entry-level PhD. And again, there's a progression in one's career where there's multiple opportunities where you come up for promotion. And to be very clear, as you become more experienced and you're delivering more and really your understanding of the enterprise expands, that's what enables your career progression and really offers you a whole host of new opportunities. So every company has different labels. What's really important is it an entry-level PhD type position? And then as you move on, like the next one could be principal, and then it could be like associate director and so forth, all the way up. They're just technical labels.
Thank you, Ron. And every company is different. So just
Exactly.
read the job description. That's all I can say. So, so I'll ask it. This is a question specific to chemical engineering. When you're evaluating your PhDs with chemical engineering degrees, is your company seeking more on the soft skill or hard skill side? Who wants to take a stab there?
I can take a stab at it, Dana, because we, in the organization that I work in, which is the development organization for biological products, we hire a number of chemical engineers because of the nature of the work that's involved in scaling or developing processes and scaling them up and then transferring them to manufacturing. So, all skill sets are important. Obviously, foundationally, your skills in chemical engineering are going to be critically important to being successful in the role. But in an industry position, you have to be able to tell your story. You have to be able to communicate effectively, especially very complex chemical engineering principles to others that may not have that background. So both skill sets are important. Obviously, we want to make sure that you have the grounding in chemical engineering, of course, but also the soft skills that go along with it.
Thank you. Thank you. So maybe Xavier or Jonathan, now that you've moved into an advisor role and you have some direct reports underneath you and you might be searching for a postdoc, how closely should a scientist's skills align with the qualifications listed in the postdoc position?
Sure, I can chime in first, and then Xavier, you can backpack off of me. Yeah, so now that I'm in an advisor role, as my research breadth is kind of, broadening, and I'm focusing on more of the core methodologies of our group, looking for, a kind of unique group of skill sets. There's working with proteomics or large molecules and the type of workflows we work with, it's important to have direct skill sets, or at least more general instrumentation experience here. That's a baseline, absolutely. In terms of the exact application, we're exploring a lot of new workflows and a lot of new ways to kind of break apart molecules and analyze them. So there's a lot of different ways to kind of explore that in your own personal experience. So it's not something that there's a lot of, and workflows are changing all the time. New technologies, new softwares, and with the rise of AI, our day jobs or our software analysis is changing rapidly, faster than we know it. So I think something that I look for in at least the supervisor that hired me spoke on my behalf was being able to, pick up things quickly. Can you learn software interfaces? Can you hop onto a new instrument or the latest model of an instrument, and then, with a little bit of leeway, pick it up and operate it and produce high quality data that is on par with the rest of the group. So, it's a balance there. I think, being able to dive into those technical problems and, showing, interest and, strong expertise in that, but as well as, being willing and open to, jump to the next innovation that comes out next.
Yeah, Jonathan did a really good job encompassing all of that. I agree with that. And just to add to it, I think that one thing, obviously, it's really important to have skill sets that align with the role, but something that is almost intangible is the type of passion that you can bring to the role. And with that passion comes innovation. So if I was in that position, I would be looking to hire somebody that can really take these projects, these therapies, these different ideas to the next level because they're so passionate and innovative and driven to accomplish these goals. So I think that that's, again, that intangible kind of X factor that can really separate you from other applicants.
Thank you. Okay, so Jenny and Carla, I'm going to ask you two to answer these questions. Tell us about your work-life balance. And Carla, you and Jenny may have different answers. Jenny, you may be able to tell us from the perspective of what it was like as an academic postdoc and now an industry postdoc. And then Carla, your experience as an industry postdoc only. So whichever would like to go first. Tell us about work-life balance and how that works for you.
And go first. Yeah, since I have both academia and industrial postdoc experience. I mean, it really depends on, like in academia, it depends on the lab you joined or school, like, or department you work in. So for me, my experience with my previous lab in academia, it's like all depends on the professor, right? The PI. So my PIs are a good, like he want you to finish your project. It doesn't matter when you come into the lab and when you leave the lab. He just want me to have some overlapping with him so that I can discuss some problem or some progress with him. So my workload, it depends on how I wanna do it, but at least like minimum like 40 to 50 hours per week in academia. And sometimes if I in the middle of the experiment, for sure you wanna work overtime, all based on your project. And here at my group in Lilly, so it's similar. So what I did is I plan out my daily experiment and work with the instrument. My career, I have a career coach, so he will mentor me learning, and then also since I solely work on the instruments like the analytical ultracentrifugations, so I have to work with the other scientists who's going to use the instruments, so I'll plan that out. I mean, I have a pretty good, decent work-life balance in my current role. I mean, I don't need to, as far as I plan out my work really wisely, so I really don't have to like come in during the middle of the night or like over the weekend to finish up. So I try to finish up all my tasks during the regular hours. So yeah, so that's my answers. Thank you.
Carla, would you like to share your experience?
Yeah, I think it's very similar to Jenny's. I don't have a academic postdoc experience, but compared to my PhD, I feel like the work-life balance here is much more respected. Of course, you know, everything goes down to your project. So as Jenny said, as long as you plan your experiments wisely and they don't fall on the weekends, it's not a requirement that you have to be here on the weekends or work over hours. But there are times that, you know, I came over the weekend because I had cell culture and I had to take care of things. But in general, it's very respected. And I would say it's a 9 to 5 job. And then you go home and you may have to do some studying or not. But as far as work-related tasks, I would say for me in my group, it's a 9 to 5 job.
Perfect, thank you. Mike or Ron, there's a question about being eligible for an advisor role straight from your PhD, or do you have to come through the postdoc role?
I can start there, Ron, if you're okay.
No, go ahead.
Well, in actuality, I did that myself. I joined Lilly right after my graduate work. I actually was about to take a postdoc position and then was offered the job here. It was a situation that just was fortuitous for me. So and in fact, we have cases where others have been hired without a postdoc, but I will say, and I'm sure Ron will back this up, there is certainly an advantage of doing additional training to hone your skills and maybe expand your expertise. That would make you more competitive in the hiring process.
Yeah,
Ron, do you want to add?
yeah, definitely want to add to that. And Mike's absolutely right. There are certain opportunities in business cases where that can happen. It does happen fairly infrequently when you consider the whole. But the one thing I want to stress to this audience, and I give this advice pretty often, is your postdoc is your last chance to continue to be solely focused on your personal scientific development. Okay. And what you put into it is what you're going to get out of it. But as you move into a career, your career, once you start a job as an advisor, you're going to take on responsibilities where you'll have opportunities to grow, but you also have to deliver, right? And so your postdoc is this opportunity where you get to explore, you get to fail, you get to learn from those failures and become a true expert. And the question that you gave me earlier about what is the trajectory? Well, I can tell you, I think individuals that have just a really strong level of training generally are best positioned for a higher trajectory career. Now, Mike's an exception, but he's an exceptional guy. But the reality is that you want to go ahead and be focused on developing yourself. And so I always articulate to young scientists, I was energetic. I really wanted a job, but I realized that what I was going to get out of that 2-year or 3-year, I did a 3-year postdoc. Out of that 3-year postdoc, it set me up for all of my future successes. So I encourage you to make the best use of it. It's just so foundational.
Perfect. Thank you so much. So we've sort of come to the part in the program where it's my turn. We have a lot of HR related questions left in the chat that I'm going to quickly try to go through. This presentation will be available to all of you afterwards for your re-review. So here's what I'm going to tell you. The best place for all of you to find our postdoc postings, every single one, when they're available, they are posted at careers.lilly.com. That is your first stop shop for all things Lilly Careers. When you get out there, the first thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to join our talent community. Then you can actually set up your job profile and create job alerts. So you can do that by keyword. So you could do postdoc, you could do advisor, you can do your specific area of focus. A lot of times we do put the specific area that the postdoc work is being done into the job title. We have postdoc postings all year round. It is not one special time of year that Lilly posts all of its postdoc roles. So keep looking. If you don't see one that's out there for you today, there might be one out there for you in a couple of weeks. So do take the time to set up those job alerts, to keep looking frequently, and to really explore the opportunities that are available for you. Postdocs are not just within Lilly Research Laboratories. There are some postdocs within our manufacturing space. There's fewer of them, but they are available. We have postdoc roles at all of our research sites. So that's going to be San Diego, Pasadena, New York, Boston, Indianapolis, for sure. You'll be able to find them in those specific sites. So set up those alerts based on the keyword and even potentially location. There's a lot of questions in the chat about for those who may need immigration assistance. Lilly does offer immigration assistance. It is evaluated on a case-by-case individual basis. So if you need immigration assistance, indicate that in your application. We may have to come back to you and ask you some questions. We want to make sure we find the best, most viable route for you to support your time as either a postdoc or a Lilly employee, but that would not exclude you from a postdoc role. If a role does not offer immigration assistance, it will say that in the job description. So keep that in mind. I do see a question about PhD students doing internships. So yes, we actually do have an opportunity for PhDs to do some internships through our Talent Development Academy. So what are the requirements? Well, first and foremost, your PI probably is going to have to be supportive of that, because we're going to ask you to take a big chunk of time away from your PhD work, and it really is going to have to be a conversation between you and your PI that you're working for to do that PhD. Requirements really would be you are enrolled in a PhD program and you feel like this is a good experiment for you. You feel like it's going to be very beneficial to the work that you're doing as a PhD student, but that's a decision that you need to make for yourself. Okay. So a question that I get a lot, and Ron, we really need to do this math. What is the full-time placement rate for Eli Lilly postdocs? I actually have not done this calculation, but it's pretty good. We do convert a good number of our postdocs into our full-time roles at the end of the day. Now, it's not a consistent timeline. I can't promise you you're going to be as fast as Xavier or Jonathan. It could be 1 year, it could be 3 years. But here's the thing, as a postdoc, you see all of our internal postings. You have an opportunity to apply. If your supervisor is supportive of that, it's a conversation that you need to have, but we certainly want to help you with your career growth. And if that is that you want to stay at Lilly and grow your career at that advisor level, we're going to help you try to figure out how to do that through your mentorship process. Anything that you would want to add there, Mike, Ron? Full-time conversions?
No, I think that's spot on. And again, you know, the number changes from year to year. And again, this is going to be similar at every company. It's all based upon what is the business need? Is the company hiring? And more specifically, are they hiring within your area? Right. And so we have done actually really well these last several years.
Yeah.
But again, our goal with the postdoc program is to set you up for success for hopefully a job at Lilly. But if that's not available, you're set up so that you have a great opportunity to get a job at whatever other company you're interested in.
Perfect. With respect to that intern opportunity, we do have some of our interns do come back in postdoc positions. It really just depends on what their timing looks like. But we have seen some of our PhD interns transition into postdoc roles, or even sometimes they come back into those research advisor roles. It's just highly dependent on the person and what we have going on at that point in time. And then last but not least, how long does the application process typically take? So I will tell you, Lilly does not use any AI to review their resumes. It is a human who touches every single one of these. So be patient with my team. We work as fast as we can, but you guys really like to apply. And sometimes we see hundreds of applicants on these positions. So we do work as quickly as possible to review and work back with our hiring managers to make timely decisions. Please be patient. We want to make sure we thoroughly assess everyone who applies and gives everybody as fair of a process as we possibly can. So I think I have kept us on track. I have left 5 minutes for Amy. Really, guys, we thank you for your time. Thanks for coming to see Eli Lilly today. I hope we answered all of your questions. Go out and apply. Join our talent community. Awesome.
Thank you all. This was a fantastic webinar. And I do want to answer the question about conversions. We've done quite a few postdoc company webinars over the years. And all the people who do postdocs stay in industry, even if not with that company. So one of our earliest webinars, we had people who had been postdocs at one specific company up to about 5 years ago. And they intentionally brought people back over the career trajectory. And some were at that same company, but then some went on to other companies within that geographical area where that first company was located. So I would say the conversion rate to industry jobs is probably close to 100%, if not within the company. But I want to thank you all for sharing your experiences. I want to thank you, Dana, for getting through all those questions. I really didn't think you were going to be able to do it. That was very impressive. And all of you in the audience, thank you for joining us again. If you want to share this with someone, it'll hit your inbox probably within 48 hours, and you are free to share it. And all of our webinars are on our YouTube channel, PhRMA Foundation.org as well. So thank you for your time, everyone, and have a great day.